Hello, this is Gill Fielding, and this is what's caught my eye in the media this week. Well, first of all, Britain, the UK, is a very poor place in which to retire because stats out this week show that the average British person has about 58% of their working income in retirement. So when they're in retirement, they've got just over half what they had whilst they were working. And this is very low in comparison to other countries. So in France, for example, it's 74%. In some countries like Turkey, it's over 100%. So in Turkey, when you retire, you get about 103% of what you had whilst you were working. Now that's extraordinary, and it just goes to show how some countries value their older people more than others. And in the UK, we are very, very poor at providing for retirement. So the government don't particularly care. About half of what you get when you are retired comes from the state, and that equates at the moment to £185 per week. And the rest of the money has to come from your own pensions, your own savings, your own investments. So if you have no savings, you have no investments, you have no personal pension outside of what the state will provide, you are doomed to live on £185 per week at best, and it could be worse than that. And we need to do something drastic about that in the UK. First of all, the government need to address it at a national level. And secondly, people need to address it at a personal level. You're the only one that really cares whether you can pay your gas bill when you're retired. So you better do something about it. It's never too late to start saving and investing for your financial future, because otherwise you're going to be in trouble. Or you're going to have to move to Turkey, I guess, and get a better outcome. Now, I've decided to sign on for cookery lessons at our local evening classes because I've been reading about the job vacancies for different parts of the industries across the UK. And of course, before the pandemic, we used to think that the fancy employees were people like cosmetic surgeons and so on. And now we value much more highly more appropriate skills like van driving, shelf stacking, and being a carer, for example. Now, I've looked at all the job vacancies, and it turns out that the biggest job vacancy number is in the hospitality industry. And of course, we now value waiters and bar staff and so on much more highly than we did before the pandemic. But the hospitality industry is so desperate for staff, and particularly chefs, that they're paying 85,000 plus per year, 5,000 signing on bonuses, other perks and so on. So I've decided I'm going to retrain and learn to cook. I've never done that in my life. I've always just paid for the takeaway or opened the packet. So I'm not really a cook at all, but I've decided I'm going to learn just in case I need a backup career in the future. So I've got myself a new apron and I'm off to the local evening classes. Now, stats out this week from the Office of National Statistics, the ONS, show us that poverty is deadly. And the figures show that during the pandemic, people in deprived areas died much more frequently than people not from COVID. And the stats go on to say that the person living in a deprived area has a much shorter life than somebody living in a more affluent area. So for a man, it's almost 10 years less that you live if you live in a deprived area. And for a woman, it's 8 years different. So if you're living in a deprived area with inappropriate employment, inappropriate services, inappropriate housing conditions and so on, your life will be much shorter. Not only that, babies being born today in deprived areas have 18 years less of healthy living, so disease-free type living, than a baby being born in a more affluent area. So it's 18 years less for a boy and 19 years less for a girl baby. That's appalling. We should not be having that kind of disparity in a country like England, the UK, the British Isles. We're an advanced nation. We think we're the smarty pants nation or one of the smarty pants nations across the world. And yet we have this huge difference between even life expectancy across different areas of the country. And of course, by levelling up, what the government means is having equal train services, not equal life expectancy. So you need to do something about that yourself. And if it's not for you, then do it for your kids so that they have a longer, healthier, disease-free life. It's extraordinarily bad that we have this situation in the UK, but you can do something about it. You can change your financial life such that you can live in an area that's more affluent, that has better services, better housing conditions, and so on. Live longer. If you're not going to do it for yourself, please do it for your children. Now, I always wanted to be as rich as a king or a queen. Now, and there were figures out this week from King Philippe VI of Spain, who has decided to publish all of his financial affairs. And it turns out that he's worth 2.6 million euros, which is about 2.1 million pounds. And I read that and I thought, is that all? I mean, surely a king ought to have a lot more money than that. And it turns out that he has received an awful lot of money in terms of, income from the state, his family, etc., etc. But all he's done with it is put it in the bank, in savings accounts. And of course, we know that savings won't grow into wealth no matter how long you leave it, because interest rates are ridiculously low, even for a king. Now, if we compare that to the Queen of the UK, Queen Elizabeth, it turns out that she has got 365 million pounds worth of assets, etc., compared to just over 2 million for King Philippe. And of course, she's got it invested in property and shares and businesses, horses, all kinds of other assets, as a wealth creator naturally does. So even at this rarefied level of royalty, there is still a huge difference between savings and investing. So let me give you a piece of guidance. Please don't save like a king, but invest like a queen. Keep safe, and I'll see you next week.